So many people say that they want to love themselves, or they actually do. But how many of you guys can actually look in the mirror truthfully and say that you do love yourself? Many of us are just terrified of facing the truth of who we've actually become over time through experiences and, just life really. But to do that, to really look in the mirror, what does it mean, facing our truth? It means you have to admit where you have been dishonest with yourself, where you have betrayed your own heart, accepted the choices that may have ended up hurting you in the long run. And you actually have to acknowledge the people that you've allowed in your life who don't actually honour who you are. So sometimes it's easier to stay safe, to stay numb, and to blame the world, and even to stay busy in order for distraction, instead of actually looking at self-love and looking at our own reflection in the mirror, but not just in the mirror, but within our soul as well. I want you to ask yourself now, can you meet the parts of yourself that you've judged, that you may dislike, that you've hidden, and offer them compassion? Just think about that for a minute, because this is the start of the whole self-love journey, in terms of being on this journey and really looking deep in terms of loving yourself for who you authentically are. If you're unhappy with your life, think of it not as a failure. This is great feedback for you. Feedback that something needs to shift inside of you. That a shift has already taken place inside of you, because you are acknowledging the fact that you are actually unhappy in life. And maybe that's because you've been mistreated, used, lied to, manipulated. And sometimes people even obviously ask themselves, why do this certain person treat me this way? Or why do I keep on being treated this way? Or why do I keep on attracting the same type of person? And here's the truth: how others treat you says more about them. But how you accept repeatedly another person's actions or the same experiences over and over again says more about yourself. You are not responsible for others' pain that they have inflicted on yourself or on other people, but you are responsible for your own boundaries that you have put in place in terms of people, places and things that you encounter. So if you've got your journal to hand, always have your journal to hand when you're speaking with me, when you're here on the video, have your journal to hand. And I'm going to ask you now, after this question, pause the video if you want to journal and work your way through, and then watch the rest of the video. But where have you allowed disrespect because you've been afraid? Afraid to speak up, afraid to be alone, afraid to be judged, all those things. Where have you allowed disrespect in your life because you was afraid? Just sit with that and be honest with yourself. Allow just this time to just reflect and write down your first thoughts. And then another one for you. Ask yourself, who am I trying to prove my worth to, and why? We're really going to dig deep into why do you feel the need to prove your worth in some circumstances. And another one, what pain am I carrying that I pretend doesn't hurt anymore? What pain am I carrying that I pretend doesn't hurt anymore? People can lie to you, people can manipulate you, but you can't control others, as you already know. But the most dangerous lies are the ones that we actually tell ourselves. So this is what we're moving from. We're moving from the illusion into authenticity, into truth, and honouring your truth in terms of your self-love journey. So some of the things that you may tell yourself or even tell others, you might say, I'm fine, but you're not really fine. And maybe other people know that you're not fine as well, but they don't feel the need to ask anymore, or they don't care. You feel as though there's a lack of care there. They don't want to get into it. They don't want to take the time. Another one is sometimes people say, I don't need anyone. I can do it by myself. Other times you might say, I deserve it. You deserve the treatment that people give towards you. Often people don't realise that they're stuck in cycles of self-abandonment. You've abandoned yourself. It's a bit pretty kind of in your face. This is a in your face kind of thing that we're talking about, that you have abandoned yourself to a certain extent. You've allowed to put apart, you've put aside your values, your morals, levels of respect, your self-worth, your confidence. You've abandoned yourself. And these lies that you tell yourself and sometimes others is actually born through trauma. You don't realise that you're still, not one, maybe that you're still holding on to trauma, but two, that how it's actually presenting in your life. That the fact that you don't feel open enough to be yourself, to love yourself, and to allow other people to love you who you truly are. So self-love actually means taking radical ownership of your life. Not blaming, not shaming, but saying, this is my life and I get to choose how I show up now. I may have learned dysfunction, but I can unlearn it. I may have survived manipulation or performing, but I can choose authenticity. I choose to be who I am, to be true to who I am, not to shy away, not to dim my light, not to shrink. So radical self-love doesn't mean perfection. It actually means refusing to abandon yourself anymore. Acknowledging the fact that you are not denying yourself what should be rightfully yours in terms of love, respect, boundaries, and speaking your truth. It means showing up for yourself the way you wish somebody would have shown up for you. It means no drama, trauma bonds, cycles of betrayal, emotional addiction, even physical addiction. It means learning to trust your intuition and acting upon it. Really trusting what your body is telling you. The insights that present themselves to you, and not second questioning yourself. Or when somebody wants to gaslight you, and you've got that hunch, you've got that feeling inside you, but you allow the moment to pass and that person to almost like get away with what they've done or how they've treated you, because it's better to believe what they're actually saying than to actually acknowledge the fact that they're not treating you with self-respect, that you are actually lowering your worth and not setting the boundaries that you actually need in order to attract what it is that you actually really desire within your life. So we've all heard the saying that before you can love others, you must love yourself. But I mean, many people don't actually live by that one. And another question is, well, why? Why can I not fully love somebody else before I love myself? And there's several reasons. And one of them is that without knowing, many people actually seek validation through others' attention. Whether it's on a night out and you're seeking a man's attention, or men, you're seeking a woman's attention because you feel low, you don't feel good, things are not going at work, or even the fact that you've got a wife at home and she's not paying you enough attention and you're seeking it outside elsewhere. And that is because there's an instability within inside yourself of self-love, what is rooted. If you're rooted in your own self-love, you won't be seeking validation from outsiders. Another thing is because you confuse control with safety. Having control, people sometimes think it means feeling safe. And that's not the case at all. You can't control everything, but you can actually control yourself. If you learn to control and love yourself and honour your own emotions, you're able to feel secure in the environments that you put yourself in. And you only put yourself in environments where you feel as though it's actually worthy of you being in these people, others' presence or the environment in which it presents itself. If it's not worthy of you, you're going to say, this ain't for me. I honour myself enough. I'm not abandoning myself here. If you step into a room, I've stepped into a room before in the past and, at a party and people were taking drugs. That's not my scene. It's not something that I want to be around. And I've honoured my truth and I didn't care what people were going to say about me in the sense of, Leanne, you're not going to get involved. Come and have a line with us and stuff. No, it's not my thing. Thank you very much. And I'm out. Another thing that people do when they're not actually loving themselves is that they overgive to avoid being abandoned because of, again, they're scared of being by themselves, that they're overgiving, they're overcompensating, they're making that person feel like the king, queen, in their life, giving them all the love and attention and cooking and cleaning and providing and gifts and, acts of service. You're really giving to a situation or to a person because you want that person to acknowledge you, to validate you, to give you attention, to give you the love, to make you feel safe. When again, if you actually really stood in your power of your own self-love, you wouldn't be overgiving and you would allow room for people to come forward in order to show what they're bringing to the table. How do they meet your expectations, your desires, whether they are the person for you, whether they are aligned with your soul, whether you have deep connection. Another thing is if you don't love yourself, you accept breadcrumbs. Accept breadcrumbs and you call it intimacy. When they phone and they're all, was it called the love bombing, when they all over you and giving everything that you desire, and then next thing, it's the breadcrumbs, keeping you hanging on and hanging on to the thought that it's going to go back to what it was because you're craving what it was, what they once showed you. So self-love is about you coming home to your first. Only then will you let love in without losing yourself. True love. So again, pick up your journal. We're going to journal some more. I'm going to give you another few questions here. What parts of myself do I give away too easily? What parts of myself do I give away too easily? And you might want to do a side note and ask yourself why. You don't have to do full sentences here. You could just literally write down a few words. Another one is, where do I seek others' validation? Or where do I seek others to make me feel valuable? Where do I seek others to make me feel valuable? And then ask yourself, how do I begin to meet those needs within myself? What can you do for yourself to feel the things you've been relying on other people to feel for you? Navigating this journey isn't always easy. So if you want to help in terms of peeling back the layers, by all means book a private session with me. I offer 30 minutes and 60 minutes, and we'll uncover the roots, clear the energy, because I'm an energy healer as well, and reconnect you to your truth. My email's in the description, where you can email me and we can book a session. So make sure you pause the video, guys, if you're continuing to journal, and then you can come back. Excuse me. So what is spiritually aligned self-love? So self-love, as we know, is not surface level. It's not spa days. It's not bubble baths. It's not those things. Those things are more self-care. That is almost like a sister to self-love, but it's not actually self-love. Spiritually loving yourselves means loving your soul through your flaws. So it's loving yourself anyway. I may do this, but I love myself anyway. It's accepting who you are and knowing the fact that you can change. So if you don't like certain things that you are, that you feel as though you are, how you present yourself, whether you've got anger issues, whether you're still living with trauma, all sorts of things you could be going through, but it's about accepting who you are and noticing the parts of yourself that you are willing and able to move forward and change. If you're ready for that change, if you're ready for that transformation, to show up authentically in your truth and peel back the layers of the illusion. So it's loving yourself with the wounds, even though you haven't fully healed. It's learning to hold space for your anger without shame, for any of your feelings without shame. There's many people out there that's grieving, whether it's grieving a relationship, a pet, or a loss of a parent, and they feel the need to hide that they're still grieving months later. That there's, especially men, in terms of having a cry, or there's abandonment in terms of their parents have abandoned them through cultural issues. I myself have been dating somebody that was Pakistani, whose family said, if you're going to date this woman, we're cutting you off. Don't come back home to see us again. So these are the things that many people are going through that people are not actually speaking about. They're actually dealing with it behind closed doors. So it's actually being able to acknowledge how you're feeling without shame. And even acknowledging the fact that you have you've learnt certain cultural, values and morals that may not align with you anymore, but your family still do. So it's acknowledging that without shame, that those are your roots. But it doesn't mean that you can't extend your roots and move forward in the things that you actually are aligned with now. So self-love also means speaking lovingly to your body, even when it doesn't look the way you want it to. It means forgiving yourself for the things you didn't know back then, or the things that you did know, but you chose to move forward down the road that you knew maybe wasn't right for you. It's choosing to forgive the things that you have learnt the lessons from, that maybe that you feel as though you regret. It also means letting go of the false stories that have kept you small. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy for that job. All those kind of false stories that we tell ourselves. I'm not able to tell my parents how I really feel, because that means that I'm disrespecting them. Let go of the false stories that do not align with you anymore, that do not allow you to speak your truth and show yourself self-love. Self-love is about seeing yourself as a sacred being, as something not to be fixed, but someone to be remembered. You are actually remembering your soul's calling to an extent. You are remembering the essence of your soul before life shaped you, before your parents shaped you, before experience shaped you, before the people in your life, before the education system, shaped you, before the rules and regulations and laws of the land shaped you. If you don't know what I mean, I'm talking about even simple things. We all know it's common knowledge that when we walk in the library, we are quiet. That is a common thing. But it's remembering who we are. We've come to the library, yes, to read books, but you might have come to a class where you sit down and engage in conversation. Same way where in terms of respecting people, you go around certain people's houses and certain homes, you may feel comfortable to, I don't know, help yourself in the kitchen. If it's a family member's home, you can help yourself in the kitchen. Other people, you wouldn't even think to do that. So it's remembering and aligning with the people that align with you, but also what your soul feels is right for you as well, speaking your truth. And I say these examples is because you could have a rule in your home in terms of taking your shoes off at the door. But when people come round, when you go round to that person's house, it's more than that. Or they don't respect your boundaries when they come round your home, but you have to take off your shoes when you go round their home. Do you get what I'm saying? Hopefully you're following along what I'm saying. So let's talk about how self-love shows up if there is a lack. So many people, if there's a lack of self-love, you will look in the mirror and you will say, I'm not enough, or I don't like, and you finish that sentence. You stay in relationships or jobs that drain your spirit, that you actually feel drained. You don't feel as though you've got much more to give. You apologize for existing, for taking up space, for having emotions, for needing rest. You apologize for speaking your truth. You've told your partner or you've told your boss how you feel, or that that something is going on. And because they come with you in a sense of not being open to receive, you end up apologizing for actually speaking your truth or actually saying what you need to say, what is actually aligned with you. Another way is that you feel as though you're only worthy if you're producing in terms of work or getting things done, pleasing or proving yourself. Another one is that you carry shame from your past. You're unable to forgive the decisions that you've made when you were in survival mode. And it's remembering that these wounds are not flaws. They're invitations. They're invitations back to yourself. They invite you back to yourself. Why do you feel the way you do? Why did you do what you did? How can you do things differently if that is not who you truly are when you're not in survival mode? It's not always about, obviously it's about us not living in survival mode, but us living in peace and harmony with ourselves. So self-love doesn't always mean that you will not feel insecure again, but it means that when those thoughts come up, you will deal with them, you will meet them with compassion. You will meet those thoughts with compassion and acknowledge the fact that I feel this way, and that's okay, but is that the truth? Do I really look terrible in that dress? Am I really such a bad partner? What makes me a bad partner? Or am I actually overgiving? Do I not allow room for a person to come forward and show me what they're actually made of? All these things that you can explore, either with myself or in your own time through journaling. So let's talk about divine love. You were created from divine source, not from fear, not from sin, and not from shame. You were created in the energy of love, pure, boundless love. So you have this pure, boundless love within you. something that many people don't actually acknowledge or actually believe, that you are made of pure, boundless love. So, on a soul level, this actually means that you are already whole, that your essence is untouched by trauma. So, it's coming back to that place, before the 3D world took place. That you are infinitely worthy, even when your ego says otherwise. That you are worthy of the things that you desire, that job, that dream house, the fairy tale, the children, the peace, all those things that you are worthy of. On a soul level, it means that you're always guided by something higher than your circumstances. So again, it's looking at a situation and looking at it from a higher perspective, a perspective of self-love and compassion. So on a 3D level, divine love looks like doors opening when you stop forcing what's meant for you. It means relationships are aligned with you when you raise your standards. It means peace returning when you release self-hate and resistance. You don't have to earn self-love, earn it in terms of like, oh, I've got something to prove to myself. No, it's already within you. It's actually just releasing and nurturing that energy. And you don't need to earn love from the divine. You are an expression of it. But to truly feel that, you really need to release the stories that you are not enough, that you are not enough of divine love, and start living like you are already loved, because you are. You are already loved. So what does self-love look like in practice? You stop shrinking to fit into rooms. You stop hiding who you are. You speak truthfully, even when your voice shakes. You've got something to say it. And I always say this as well, because many people advocate on a spiritual level, you need to speak your truth, open your throat chakra. Speaking your truth always comes from a place of the heart. Again, you speak to someone how you would like someone to be speaking to you, from the place of the heart, coming from a good place, with compassion, but you're getting your point across. So you can still be honest, but you're not effing and blinding and bleeps and saying it in the heat of an argument, but you're actually sitting that person down and saying, this is what I need to say. It might be hard to hear, but this is how I'm feeling at the moment, and moving forward with that. Again, when it comes to self-love, it means saying no to the things that are not aligned with you. No, I cannot babysit for you. No, I can't be picking you up from the station. No, I can't be off, giving you money. You never gave it back to me last time. And it's not out of, it's not always out of a place of anger. It's just setting your boundaries now, out of deep respect for yourself. That no, I can only do so much because I'm taking this time out for myself. No, I can't make you that cup of tea right now. I'm actually doing something for myself. But do you mind making me one? I'm being a bit cheeky. Do you mind making me one? So it also means that you stop outsourcing for validation, for likes, and for other people's opinions. You begin to come home to yourselves, knowing the fact that you give yourself everything that you actually need. You remember that you are not broken, but you have over time been maybe burdened under the layers of conditioning and fear. And from a place of remembrance, you rise. You rise from the remembrance of who you truly are. When you peel back these layers, these stories that you've told yourself, these stories that you've grown up with what society tells you. So I'm going to go through some practical tips now, some spiritual practical tips that you can use yourself in terms of daily practices or journaling. So speak to yourself like you are a sacred being, because you are. So that means honouring yourself, speaking to yourself with self-respect. Set boundaries, because it's knowing that self-respect is an action. How you treat yourself sets the tone for how people treat you. And it also allows you to see how people treat you and whether you need to put more boundaries in place. And it also lets you know a lot about the person that you're actually dealing with, or the people that you're actually dealing with, in terms of, obviously, you probably already know how they're actually treating you. Another thing is pause before reacting. Before reacting to a situation where you feel as though you're going from your comfort zone into another level part of yourself here. What would love do here? What would love do here? Another thing is, on a daily basis, sit with yourself and say that I am loved, I'm safe, and I am enough. I am loved, I'm safe, and I am enough. Some things to journal as well. What would I do differently if I fully believed I was loved by the divine? What would loving myself today look like? Not in the future, but now. What would loving myself look like today? Then ask yourself, what version of me is ready to be reborn? So another thing that you can do is simple mirror work. This is good to help rewire the brain, but it only works if you actually truly believe. So start with things that you might not say, obviously you're not going to say that you're perfect, because nobody's perfect. But instead of saying that I am, so look, if you've got, what do you call it? What is that syndrome? Imposter syndrome. So that imposter syndrome where you're doing a job that you don't actually feel as though you are worthy of. So instead of saying, I am worthy of this job, say that I am doing the best that I can. You make it fit. And as each day you're able to tailor how you feel, tailor how the words feel, how the words, how your body responds to the words. You can say, my worthy is not up for debate. I release old stories. I write a new one today. I love and accept parts of myself that are still healing. That's another good one, because you're accepting the fact that you are still healing, that you are not perfect, but you're starting to love and accept yourself through the healing journey. And it's knowing the fact that you do not need to be perfect in order to be lovable. You are lovable just the way you are. So I want to leave you with this today. I'm going to read it for you. I wrote a dear sweet soul letter. Dear sweet soul, you've carried the weight of so many expectations. You silenced your pain, dimmed your light, and questioned your worth. But I need you to know you were never meant to earn love. You are love. You were born whole. The world simply taught you to forget. But you are now remembering. You are healing, and you do not need to carry the guilt any longer. Forgive yourself. Hold your own heart the way you longed for others to hold it. Your soul came here to experience freedom, not fear. To express, not suppress. To love, not perform. You are enough, even now and especially now. And no matter how far you've wandered from yourself, you can always come home. Hear this: you are not broken. You are not too late. You are not your past. You are a divine being on a human journey. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to begin again. You are allowed to release the version of yourself that survived, so that that version that survived can finally take root. Loving yourself is not a luxury. It's your return to God, to the divine, to whoever you believe in. And when you love yourself deeply, the world begins to reflect that love back. So take your power back, speak your truth, and choose yourself. You are worth every ounce of that love. Leanne. If you enjoyed today, please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. Let me know how you get on with the journaling and how it resonates with you this session. And if there is any sessions, video topics that you would like me to do, just email me. And again, if you would like to book a 30 or 60-minute session with me, coaching session or a coaching session or a psychic mediumship session or energy healing, it's literally you just book my time, and it's whatever you need is what I provide you within that session. Stay safe, guys, and keep speaking your truth and moving forward in terms of loving yourself, and I'll speak to you soon.